What's up? Welcome to my camper. Oh, today's episode's different. It's just me, myself, and I. Oh, sticky putty. I always hated doing episodes by myself because it feels fake, you know? I'm just sitting here talking to myself, essentially. I'm talking to my computer, which I mean, like, I'm talking to you, and I know I'm talking to you, and that helps a little bit because I do genuinely want to talk to you. But when you don't have anybody to look at other than yourself, and it just feels fake, and it's hard for me to gain the energy and the momentum that I need to gain to be what I need to be, I guess. I don't know. Insecurities and whatnot. I'm just gonna ramble for a bit before I get to a point. That's how episodes by myself go. And I do have a point. I do have a point. And I understand that a lot of people aren't going to see the video of this, which makes it even more awkward because, you kind of need to see the video to be like, okay, I'm gonna have to edit this. And I hate editing. It's not that I hate editing, it just takes up time and energy, which is my point of this episode. Time and energy. Nothing is more important, okay? We get distracted. All of us are distracted by what actually matters. And nothing matters more than time and energy, okay? Everything else is a distraction or different forms of energy. Like money is a form of energy, food is a form of energy. Everything that we do, everything that we consume, everything that we turn our attention to is a form of energy. And I have been battling the past couple of days with what to do moving forward with the podcast. And I think I finally decided, reluctantly, I didn't want to. I didn't want to make this decision. I wanted to just keep on keeping on the way we've been doing. Because podcasting is by far one of my favorite things in the world. Okay. And used to I would have said that it was absolutely definitely my favorite thing in the world. But I really enjoy pickleball and I really enjoy kayaking and I really enjoy all of the other things that I do as well. And all in all, we cannot do all of the things, right? We can do anything, we cannot do everything. So I had to make the really hard decision of putting the podcast on pause again. Okay, we'll call it a season ending. Okay, welcome to the season finale. It's going to be very boring as far as finales tend to go, should go, could go, whatever. Um, I'm starting new things. I have too much on my plate. I'm really good at biting off more than I can chew, and I like to give 200% of myself to all of the things I choose to do, and that is unsustainable, and I don't recommend it, okay? Like, should you have integrity? Yes. Should you give 200%? No. No. Especially when you look around, and I think the average is probably I'm just guessing. I am completely guessing. There's probably a legitimate statistic out there somewhere, but I would say that most people are giving about 50%. I don't know. What do you think? I think that 85% is probably plenty. 85% is probably plenty. Do you have to be perfect? No, absolutely not. What is perfect? There's always another level. We can always be doing more. Every single one of us, we can all always be doing more. But to what end? To what end? So, 85 is plenty and probably more than enough. We should all allow ourselves to be a little sloppier, right? Not all of us. Some of us need to straighten up a little bit. Okay. I find myself aging, as we all do. And the older I get, the more I'm like, dramatic pause for those who are not on the video. I I don't know. I do know, but as far as like it's saying stuff, um, point. I am so bad at this now. I used to do videos by myself all the time, and I hated doing them, but they were better than this, I guess. I don't know. Real. Looking for realness. I'm always looking for realness. I'm never trying to be something that I'm not. Okay? And because I have historically been a perfectionist, that's been intimidating for folks, apparently. I didn't know. I didn't know I was a perfectionist. I actually thought the people telling me this were insane because historically I have been the screw up. Okay? And if you like sit down and actually list out how, which I have, not really, not really, not really, but in comparison to where I come from, I am absolutely for sure the screw up. Like I didn't do things the way I was supposed to do things. I didn't, um, even though I guess I did, I don't even know, I don't even know. My point is, anything that anybody else does is also accessible to you. Okay? And if you think it's not, you're making up excuses. Um, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's a wonderful book. Highly recommend it. The synopsis is kid grew up with two dads, essentially. Not really. He had his dad, and then he had his best friend's dad, he was always with, so it was like a surrogate dad. One dad was rich, one dad was poor, and he compared the two and figured out that the only difference was that one dad made excuses about why he could not do things, and then the other dad looked at things and was like, how can I figure out how to do that? So everything's perception, everything's mental mindset work, and what you think you're capable of. We can do anything, not everything. So I'm just going to edit it. I'm just going to edit it. I'll allow myself to pause. I'll allow myself to pause. I'll allow myself room to breathe. That's the point here. That is the point here. Um, I am moving into a lot of new things. I'm in my camper. I don't usually do episodes in here, but I'm so blessed with a wonderful family who has a lot of time together. And we're moving into summer. I have two, I was fixing to say small children, but they're not small anymore. They are 8 and 11. And my oldest is homeschooled. So he's with me all the time, and that's wonderful, but that's a lot of work. Um, and then I'm starting my own classes. I signed up for spring semester at an online college, and that starts Thursday. Today is Sunday. It starts Thursday. You'll be getting this tomorrow. So all of this is recorded in relatively real time, which is not usually how my podcast episodes go. They're usually recorded well ahead of time or a little bit ahead of time, and you get them dripped out later because that's more sustainable. But I am starting my own college classes as well as homeschooling my son, although school will be out for the summer very soon. It's April. We have a lot of end of the year school kid functions and whatnot. If you know, you know. So that's going to be taking up a lot of my space. I just to rattle off all of the other things that I have going on. We have scouts. So I am technically a scout leader. I don't operate as one most of the time because I don't have to. We have a wonderful scout team, and I'm just kind of a backup for if they need me, I'm there. But we are very involved with that, and we love it. Uh, my daughters play softball, that started. I play competitive pickleball. Not gonna let that go. Um, it's again, it's April, so we're moving into the spring, and that means kayaking and camping season for us. We put a lot of importance on spending as much time in nature as we can. It helps regulate our nervous systems, it helps our mental health, it helps us connect to something bigger than ourselves. For us, that's nature. Um, it's very important for us to be out there for ourselves, mine and my husband's, and with my friends. We have a group of friends that we go kayaking and camping together, and it's beautiful. We've built this beautiful village, this little, it's essentially a family, okay? These are our family. They're not our family, they are our family. Chosen family or whatever. Which is funny, which is funny. I'm going to side note a little bit on that and how I always laugh about if you, they say you can't pick your family, but you can pick your friends, and I think that's hysterical because I've never picked anybody. I've never picked anybody, and that's something that I drill into my children. We don't actually get to pick our friends either, like we do, but we don't. The universe just kind of gives us people and then we make the best of it, okay? We've all had those amazing immediate connections with an individual that like lights us up and we click with them and we leave happy and we just go on and on forever with them and can't wait to see them again. And that's not always the case, so that's what we're looking for when we're looking for relationships, I feel. And if it's not that, then we think it's insignificant and doesn't matter. But the people who have ended up meaning the most to me in my life are people that historically got on my nerves. And like, I'm like, why do I just keep ending up with you? Why does the universe keep insisting that me and you need to hang out? Like, it's not, this is not seamless. This is not, what is going on here? So I just wanted to say that in encouragement of if you feel lonely and you're like, there's nobody in my life, because I've been there, uh, check yourself a little bit and be like, are we sure there's nobody in my life, or is there just nobody that I am putting patience and curiosity towards, if that makes sense? Like who keeps showing up in your life that you maybe could give a chance and learn how to be awkward with, learn how to sit in those awkward silences and learn how to just exist without necessarily having to fill the space. And, if your goals and their goals align, if your priorities and their priorities align, if your values and their values align, then everything else is superficial. Nothing, and all the other things don't matter. As long as, you know, you find these symbiotic relationships when you're least expecting them, I feel. Anyway, moving on. Um, it's important for us to introduce our kids to the nature and being out and camping and kayaking as much as possible. And although I am again, so blessed to be able to take my laptop with me and do a lot of this stuff while we're camping. The internet situation is not always the best, so that gets a little frustrating and a little stressful when you have deadlines. Um, so yeah, all of that. And then my husband may be starting a new job soon, and then so that's going to upturn our entire schedule. And I have new yoga classes. I have a lot of new yoga classes, which is wonderful, but also a little time consuming. So if you're local, let's do it, Let's do it. They're very laid back. I focus on again, anxiety and stress. reduction, okay? Creating space, nervous system alignment. And the way we've formulated the world, the way we've formulated how we live and our lives has gone against that. And that's why we're all stressed out and stuff, is like we're constantly rushing from one thing and another and trying to be as perfect as we can and as fake as we can. And which is, hilarious. We're not trying to be fake most of the time. We just kind of do it. Uh, all of us are used to putting on these masks and being a certain person around certain people and like in certain environments. And I, you yoga has a reputation and energy about being, I mean, I find it super fake for the most part. Like the way other people do it. It's got a very up-to-do um sticklerliness to it, which is hilarious because that goes against everything it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be very laid back. It's supposed to be very um, healing, and true healing is more relaxed. It's more ease, and it's yes, posture and form, but also checking in and, do we need the extra emphasis on form today? Or does our body need to relax more? And like as long as we're staying safe and we're not, we're being mindful of the directions of our knees, our joints, our wrists, all of that, so we don't hurt ourselves. Is it okay to relax the form a little bit and come out of it a little bit if it's easier and we're just focusing on the move? So, oh yeah. Um, my classes are very laid back. I'm doing some family classes starting very soon. Family yoga at the park. So we're gonna be, weather permitting, it's spring. We're gonna do some classes out in nature at local parks. All are invited. The idea is that, for one, I know what it's like to be a mom who wants to go to the yoga class but can't because I have the small children who absolutely are not going to hang out and sit still and be quiet, and they're for sure going to whine and they're not going to want to be there, and it's going to be make the whole thing more stressful, which is counterproductive to the whole, idea of yoga. So I would instead, my goal is to set up at the park, nearby a park, a playground or something, so that we can do yoga and the kids can go play at the park. And if you need to get up and go tend to them, by all means you do that and then you come back, and it's donation based. So pay what you can, pay what you feel it's worth, pay whatever, whatever, whatever. Um, I don't want there to be any barriers of entry to this for people because I really believe in the healing power of it and the village aspect, the community building, all of us are starved for that connection with each other. And this is just, let's let's build connection and healing and better stuff moving forward for everybody. So anyway, um I've made the hard decision to put the podcast on pause starting now. Very sad about it. I will still be recording, but I won't be putting anything out until I'm thinking summer solstice is June 21st, but that's a Sunday, so we're gonna do June 22nd, which is the next day. And I feel like it's feels like an alignment because we paused the podcast last summer because that made sense. And we came back on the fall. Was it the fall? Uh, it was September 22nd, which was the fall solstice or winter. No, because it's winter solstice and summer solstice. So that would have been equinox. So it was the fall equinox is when we came back. So, alignment with nature and whatever and stuff. So please continue to reach out. Let me know what you like. Let me know who you like, what we want to talk about, who we want to bring on the show. I would like to get more locals on. That's my goal. I've historically been terrified of locals for lots of reasons, but I have learned to trust the people around me, trust the community, trust myself. Because, it all generally like, yes, people hurt us and they are wrong. But then we take those wounds and then we apply them to things that we don't necessarily need to be applying them to. In this particular case, for example, lots of bullying when I was growing up led me to be very insecure and terrified of people. And so I've hidden from people in my local community for a long time. And now that I have started venturing out of my house and getting involved in the community, I'm finding that most people are very nice, very nice. And the people who are not very nice generally have their own insecurities and issues that have nothing to do with you. Like that's very hard for most of us to learn that um, getting over our own insecurities is hard, very hard. We all have them, every single one of us. Don't you dare look at somebody and be like, they don't. Yeah, they do. Okay? Yeah, they do. Everybody does. I have my own. Everybody. Everybody, everybody. So once you can learn that, you can find a little bit of softness and a little compassion for people who maybe aren't necessarily acting the way you feel like they should act or whatever, whatever. Which again, yes, it's hard. Life is hard, but it's a practice to make it simpler. And we can make it easier. We can create space. And that's what I'm doing here, creating space. Um, because again, there's nothing more important than our energy, okay? And our stress levels, which is again a form of energy. That's the energy that you're putting out. It's the energy that you're feeling. It's the energy that you're seeped in, most of us. So if we're focusing on our energy, which also means focusing on our stress levels and recalibrating our nervous system and our sense of being, relaxing the shoulders, checking in with the posture. There's all of these very accessible, simple, quick things that we can do all day, every day, whenever we think about it. Thinking about it is the hardest part, always. So, whenever you can, or when you feel those uh, anxious, stressed out, not fun emotions, whatever they may be, sadness, despair, grief, there's tons of them. Whenever you feel them creeping up, noticing it for one, because I mean, like, yeah, we notice it, but like knowing that you feel that way and in comparison to being like, oh, hey, well, I have a toolbox for this. I'm feeling this way and I have a toolbox for this. What is my toolbox? Okay, open up the toolbox, posture. All right, so check in with the posture. Spine long and tall, create space in the neck, pull shoulders back and down, open up heart center. That is our posture. That is always our posture. It is an exercise, okay? It's so hard if you've spent your whole life not having good posture, which I didn't. I didn't have, speaking on insecurities, I had terrible posture for most of my life because I was afraid that if I had good posture, people would think I was stuck up. How ridiculous is that? How ridiculous is that? I was afraid that people would think that I was stuck up if I had good posture. Um, LOL. And sure, why did I have that belief? Because there were people around me who acted as if A equaled B. Good posture equaled snobbiness. So I didn't want to be snobby. I didn't want people to think I was snobby. So I made sure I hunched all the time. And I could not bring myself to sit up straight. I was just always very closed in and tight, but you can't live like that. It hurts. It hurts the body. You have to open up the passageways. You know, checking in with the posture. Good posture takes creates space in the body. There's channels, there's energy channels in the body, and that sounds abstract and esoteric, and it is, but it's also not. Uh, think of these energy pathways in the body as the circulatory system, uh, your digestive tr system, which actually kind of likes to be squeezed a little bit, but you know, you can breathe more properly when you create this space in your body. So the posture creates space and it takes pressure off of the circulatory system so your body can circulate blood more easily and effectively. It takes pressure off of the lungs so that they can expand properly, pressure off of the heart so it can beat unobstructedly. Takes pressure off of the nerves in the body. They get pinched and stuff. Um, so posture helps open up all these channels so that everything can move and operate the way it needs to move and operate. Um, Actively releasing tension in the body does the same thing. If your muscles are tight and they're tensed up all the time, they're squeezing the blood vessels, they're squeezing the nerves, they're squeezing things that they shouldn't be squeezing, and it causes pain or numbness, which is better than pain, but also not good for you. Uh, so creating space, releasing tension, by creating or checking with the posture, which is going to hurt because it's an exercise. If you've spent your whole life not having good posture, then trying to have good posture is going to activate muscles that aren't used to working. So it's going to hurt for a little bit and it's going to be sore and it's going to feel like you're doing push-ups or whatever, and that's okay. It does eventually get better and then it becomes more uh, automatic and you have to think about it less, and it makes you look more confident. It makes you look more attractive, because confidence is attractive, right? We all want those aspects that we don't feel we have in ourselves. Um, and even though I don't like the term fake it till you make it. It's a really good explanation to like how, people think that I have all the confidence in the world, and I absolutely do not. I am still struggling really bad with shyness and insecurities, and I'm just surprise, surprise, a very quiet person. I don't like a lot of attention. I don't, I have a hard time putting myself out there, especially locally. Like I've been able to put myself out there. That's why the podcast worked, is because it was worldwide and nobody out there knew me, and I was okay with that. But living in a small town is hard. Anyway, taking a deep breath, checking in with the posture, bringing the breath down into the belly. Shallow chest breathing is a stress response. We want to breathe deep in the belly, allowing ourselves to slow down and create space within our body, within our life, giving ourselves 15 seconds to breathe, check in with the posture, and recalibrate can make all the world in the difference. All the world in the difference. All the difference in the world. Relaxing everything down. We spend a lot of time in our heads because, that's where all our thinking takes place. That's where we're interacting with the world. But if we're in our head, most of the time, if we're in our head, we're living in the past or the present. The past or the future. Very rarely are we living in the present. The mind can exist in the past, the present, different dimensions and timelines, our creative aspects are beautiful and wonderful and awesome and our superpower, but also very problematic if we're not keeping them in check. Because if we're reliving things in the past or we're worrying about things in the future, our body doesn't know the difference. So our body reacts as if those stressors are occurring right now in this moment. So if you have traumatic events that you're reliving from your past, your body is re-experiencing those traumatic moments every time that you think about it, every time that your mind puts yourself in that and feels the emotions of that again, your body is flooded with all these stress hormones. And if our body's like our nervous system is like a light switch, okay? Either it's on fight or flight, or it's in rest, digest, and heal. Okay. And we want to stay in rest, digest, and heal as often as we can because that's where our immune system works. And that's where our body repairs itself. And that's where it absorbs nutrients and creates new cells and repairs old, like just all of the good things that keep us healthy happen when we're in that rest and digest response. And if we're in our stress response, which is a fight or flight, our body's not doing those things that it needs to do to keep us healthy. So, in that, there is nothing more important than our energy levels. Okay. And I don't mean whether or not you're tired, I mean how you feel in a general sense. Do you feel constricted? Do you feel tense? Do you feel anxious? Do you feel tight? Or do you feel spacious? Do you feel open? Do you feel flowy or rigid? And, you know, practice moving your body. Most of us don't. Most of us are so stiff that we've lost range of motion in our hips and our shoulders. And then we wonder why we have back problems and why things hurt. Oh, man. So, yeah, check in with your posture, breathe deeply, create space, 15 seconds at a time. Brain heart coherence. I have a whole episode on that. I probably have a couple of episodes on that. They're very old. So during this break, if you need, you know, go listen to old episodes. There's a whole lot back there. I think we're on, I don't know, I could look it up, but that would take time of me just sitting here. And I already said that I need to edit, don't I? Do I need to edit or do I just need to be real and throw them out there as is, awkwardness and all? 261 episodes is what we have. So this would make 262. That's a lot. That's good. I'm doing a good job. You're doing a good job. We're all doing a good job. And I really didn't want to pause the podcast because, again, I love it, but trying to practice what I preach, which is creating space, using discernment. I don't have to quit it forever. I need to just put some parts of it on pause to make it more sustainable, which is super scary because I've gained so much momentum. And like you shouldn't get too caught up with the numbers. And I don't. I don't. It's just, it feels good, to see that your hard work is actually doing something, and the measurements help with that. And I'm afraid that I will lose that if I put it on pause, but well, just whatever, if it's meant to be, it'll meant to be. Um, I have the rest of my life to do all the things. So, with all of that, I love you so much. Thank you for being here. It means the world to me. If I can help in any way, I am available. Doing one-on-ones and have our yoga classes and, just tell me what you're working with. And I'm working on my associates in health science, and that's going to help you even better, you know? So, wish me luck. cheer me on, yada yada, and relax your shoulders, breathe. It's not that deep. We we all need to relax. We all need to learn to relax a little bit. We take things too seriously. It's fine. Okay? It's fine. If no one's dead or dying, it's fine. Everything's good. All right. Namaste.